Hi, welcome to XploreAsia's non-immigrant visa and COE application guide. In this webinar, we will discuss how to apply for your non-immigrant visa once you receive paperwork from your school and discuss the steps on how to apply for your COE and get everything ready and prepared for you before you fly over to Thailand. So before we start, this webinar is specifically for Americans and UK citizens, but other nationalities can use this webinar as a guide to help them. Americans and UK citizens have generally the same process for the visa and COE application, but other nationalities have very similar processes. Some things are slightly different, so do make sure to look at the visa guide that we have sent you in conjunction with this webinar, as the document that we have sent has everything laid out for you by your nationality specifically. If you have any questions after watching this presentation or after reading the visa guide, feel free to contact me at my email, cassidy@exploreasia.org. Okay, so for the first step of applying for your visa, you have to wait for your visa documents to be completed. This is definitely the longest and most frustrating part, we understand. So first you get placed out of school. After you get placed, and once we receive all of your documents, your degree, your transcripts, passport, background check, all documents that we need for the visa process, once we receive all of those, your school will then create your visa paperwork, which can take 3 or 4 weeks to do, depending on how fast the school can complete everything. But once it's finished, we will send you the completed documents via email. Only after you receive your visa documents in your email may you then continue with the visa application. Please do not apply for a visa in advance until we send you the documents. While waiting for your school documents to be completed, you absolutely can research flights, your quarantine hotels, and your insurance details. So that way, when you do get the paperwork from us and from your school, you can just apply for everything right away, book everything, and have everything ready to go and get your visa application out into the mail within a few days. The next step is your documents have arrived. So what do you do? Like I said, then once you receive your visa documents, book everything. So you'll book your flights, you'll book your quarantine hotel details, and you'll book your insurance details right away once you receive the visa documents from us. Hopefully you have already have researched like we suggest in advance so that you can just book all these things right away. For your flights, please do not book a flight any closer than 3 weeks from the day that you apply for your visa. The reason we ask this is because it can take at least sometimes 15 business days for your visa to be completed and returned to you by the embassy. They state the 15 business days on their website. Generally, people receive their visa within 2 weeks or so, but we want to make sure that there is enough buffer time for the embassy, as that is their stated turnaround time. Again, research what flights you can take. You can either take a repatriation flight, or more convenient is a semi-commercial flight. You can look on the Washington, D.C. Embassy website for the list of flights. We have also sent this to you in multiple emails, so you can find that information in the emails or on your embassy's website for more information on what flights you're allowed to take. Next, you book your quarantine hotel. This really usually can only be booked after you book your flights. Sometimes hotels allow you to do it beforehand, but generally you do have to book your flights and send them the flight information. So you'll do your quarantine after your flights. Make sure you do some research to ensure that there are rooms available for the day that you arrive in Thailand before booking your flight. So make sure you contact the hotel just to make sure, just in case. When you receive your booking confirmation from the quarantine hotel, make sure you triple check the dates to ensure that they match your flight dates upon arrival in Bangkok. Sometimes hotels misread information, so definitely double check that the date of arrival in Thailand is the same on your flight and the quarantine hotel. For the list of updated ASQ hotels, you can visit the Thai Embassy in Washington, D.C.'s website, which I've listed here. You could also go on probably your own embassy's website if you're not American, but the Washington, D.C. Embassy website is updated pretty regularly. Or you could also use the link that we have sent, as that is updated regularly as well. Last thing you'll book is insurance. Make sure when you're booking insurance that it meets the Thai government's requirements. So the requirements are that the insurance must cover you for at least 3 months of your time in Thailand. We ask for our program that you are covered for the duration of your time in Thailand, so do make sure that you book insurance for the duration of your time that you're going to be over here. From the day that you arrive, it must start. It can start a day before if you want, but at least from the day that you arrive. So we do recommend booking a couple extra days just for some wiggle room, just in case, but it must start on the day that you arrive. It needs to cover you for at least 100,000 US dollars for benefits and things like that. So do make sure that that's listed in your insurance documents. And it also must specifically state that you are covered for COVID-19 costs. This is a mandate by the Thai government. You do need to be covered for COVID-19 costs at this time. So do make sure that your insurance covers you for that. You can also look at the insurance guide that we have sent you multiple times. It's also in the Facebook group. You can have a look. The requirements are listed there. And there are also some insurance companies that we know meet these requirements. You can have a look at. If those don't work for you, feel free to book whatever insurance you would like, as long as it meets the Thailand government requirements. It's totally fine. Once you book your flights, your quarantine, and your insurance, please remember to send us copies of all these things. We'll need all of these things to ensure that everything looks good, to double check for you, and also to arrange, transportation after your quarantine when you're done. All right, so after you've booked everything, now you can apply for your visa. So the first thing, please remember to read through the visa guide and collect all the documents needed for the visa application. Each country is slightly different in what documents are needed for the visa application. So do make sure, look at the visa guide for your country, make sure you have everything ready to go. Also look at the embassy's website for any additional documents that they may have added. Sometimes embassies do add extra documents to the list and they don't tell anyone. So do have a look and make sure that you have everything that they need. When you're ready, then you can go on this website listed here. This is the new application portal. Both Americans and people from the UK will use this portal. Other countries may also be using this portal, but this is a new thing for Americans specifically. So you can start your application there. Fill in all the required boxes. The documents that we have sent you in your non-B paperwork will need to be broken apart and used in this application. So we've sent you also a list of what each page is in the packet, and use this to help you to drop the pages into the correct places. To help you break the document apart, because it's quite large, you can use ilovepdf.com. It's very simple. Just upload it, break the pages apart, and it will download back onto your computer as separate pages. When you upload documents from the packet that we have sent you, it can be a little confusing for people because everything seems to be very similar. Just look at the list that we have sent you with the breakdown of what each page is, and then do your best to upload them in the correct place. If you upload your documents in the wrong place, it's totally okay. The embassy will still have them. They'll just sort out which one is which. It's okay if you upload them in the wrong place. I mean, try to do your best to upload them in the correct place, but if you don't do it right, it's okay. The embassy will not reject your application. If you're really unsure, just upload it somewhere, and if anything is wrong, the embassy will contact you. If you're missing any sort of pages or any additional information that the embassy may need, they won't just reject your application outright. They will absolutely contact you with any information that they may need. So don't be afraid to just upload things in places you may think are wrong. It's totally okay. Again, the embassy will contact you if they need any additional information. So if you look at the breakdown of documents that we have sent you, each person is different. Each school has a different kind of way of issuing documents. So not everyone is going to be the same, but we've kind of laid out a generalization of what each document is. So the letter of invitation, this is usually the letter from the education office to the embassy, the certified letter from education office, and the letter from the school to the embassy. That's what that usually is. For corporate documents that the embassy asks for, this is usually school registration from the education office, the teaching schedule, school map, director's ID, and director's appointment order. And for a copy of work permit or permission from Thai agency, this is usually your employment contract in Thai, your employment contract in English, and your employment certificate and letter of employment. Again, you may not have all of these documents. You may have more than these documents. just do your best when uploading documents to put them somewhere. Again, the embassy will not reject your application outright if something is not uploaded in the correct place. Once you have finished with your online portion of your application, make sure you print out all the visa documents that we have sent you and collect everything in a packet. And you're going to either mail or bring your documents into the embassy. Some embassies are allowing walk-ins, some are not. So most of you probably will have to mail your documents in, but you may be able to check with your embassy and see if you can have an in-person appointment. So once you're done with the online portion, again, print everything out, collect everything in a packet with your passport, and mail it into your jurisdiction embassy. Um, Now, when you mail your documents in, we suggest that you mail them by overnight or next day mail and have it sent back the same way, as this will save you a couple of days turnaround time. Totally up to you if you want to do that, but it is our recommendation. And it's also a strong recommendation that you track your package by purchasing tracking on it, so you know when the package arrives at the embassy and when the package is returned to you. And that will help things in terms of time. And if anything were to get lost, you kind of know the area where it gets lost. Again, that's pretty rare, but tracking is definitely recommended just in case. So once everything is at the embassy, everything is online, the embassy will process your documents. If they need anything else from you for your application, they will contact you again. They will not reject your application outright. They will absolutely contact you, usually via email, to ask that you send in an additional document. Once your visa is completed by the embassy, they will mail your passport and visa back in the mail to you. Or if you did it in person, then they'll just give it to you right there and then. When you receive your visa, please send us a copy, a scan to add to our files so that we know it's completed and everything looks good and we can send it on to your school. Okay, the last part then is to apply for the certificate of entry. So once you get your visa back, you immediately will go back to the application online and apply for your certificate of entry. The online application is a different link, which I've listed here, and it's listed in the visa guide. It's not the same portal that you used for your visa. It is a different link. So you'll go on this link and apply for your certificate of entry. Again, just fill out your information. You'll have to also upload a picture of your visa. So do remember to take a nice scan or a picture of your visa for this. Just follow the application process, and once you submit it, then the certificate of entry should be sent to you within a day or two later, usually no more than a few days. When you receive your certificate of entry back, again, please double check the information, make sure everything is right, and once you double check it, then send me a copy and we will upload it onto our documents and send it to your school so that they know that you have it. So, right before you fly over to Thailand, you must complete a Fit to Fly certificate and a COVID-19 test. Okay. So, the Fit to Fly certificate is just a general health certificate. You can get done through a doctor or nurse or general practitioner. It just essentially it states that you are healthy and able to come over to Thailand. The COVID-19 test is obviously a COVID-19 test, and you need to test negative for that. So research in advance where to get these documents done and how to apply for them. You can do this while you're waiting for your visa to be returned to you from the embassy. So you can look at these things and you can book an appointment if you need to do that. Now, the Fit to Fly certificate must be completed within 72 hours from the time that your flight departs your home country. Okay, this is a mandate by airlines, the Thai government, etc. So do make sure that the Fit to Fly certificate you do within 72 hours and is dated as such on the completed documents. The COVID-19 test. The test can be taken outside of the 72 hours, but the results must be issued within 72 hours of your flight departing your home country. So do make sure you know how long in general the test will take, which with whatever organization you're getting it done through, and you can time it from there. That one is really essential that you get within 72 hours. The COVID-19 test must also be an RT-PCR test. Airlines will not accept any other test. The Thai government will not accept any other test. It must be an RT-PCR, and it must be stated on your completed documents. Make sure it states RT-PCR on your completed documents. Last thing before you fly, you have to download the Thailand Plus app. This is just an app to help the Thai government track who's coming into the country, that sort of thing. If you've come into contact with any people with COVID-19, it will also track that. So download it on your phone, fill out the information, and you will receive a QR code, which you will be required to show when you enter Thailand. So make sure that you have that on your phone ready to go. You can download the app here. You can go in the App Store and just type in Thailand Plus app to download it as well. So right before you fly over to Thailand, you're going to check in to your airline. The airline will ask to see the following things. You'll need your visa and your certificate of entry. You'll need a completed declaration form, which you can find at this link. I've also sent it to you in the visa guide, so you can have a look there. A completed Fit to Fly certificate issued in the last 72 hours, and a completed COVID-19 test with results issued within the last 72 hours. Copy of your insurance meeting all Thai government requirements, and a copy of a completed T8 form, which you can find at this link, and I've also included in the visa guide. We recommend that you have multiple copies printed of each of these documents and a copy printed of your flight details and your quarantine details just in case. Don't forget to bring the following things to Thailand. You will need your bachelor's degree, your original bachelor's degree. Please do not forget that. You will need it for your work permit. You will also need a legalized copy of your bachelor's degree if it is finished. If it's still being processed before you fly over to Thailand, that's okay. It's the case for most people. Just remember to have someone from home or a company or organization finish the process for you and then mail it to you at an address in Thailand when completed, as you will need to get this to your school for your work permit. You'll also need to bring official copies of your bachelor degree transcripts. These should be preferably unopened official transcripts, but it is okay if they are opened as long as they are official transcripts. You'll need to bring your completed original criminal background check or police check for the work permit. And we also strongly recommend that you self-isolate 2 weeks prior to departing, just in case you don't contract COVID-19 and have to push your flights back. So that's the end of the webinar. Again, if you have any questions about this, feel free to email me, but we also strongly recommend that you read through the visa guide in conjunction with this. But if you have any more questions, of course, please feel free to email us, reach out to us. We hope this helps in your application guide for your visa, and we look forward to meeting you in Thailand.